Welcome back, Nick Lenz. Comic Corner, classic slash non-classic. This is episode number 1168 and Doubleshot number 1062. I have roughly one Marvel trade and one DC trade for you. First up, it is DC Year of the Villain, The Infected. This is a mini crossover, let's say mini event that happened during Year of the Villain. It's mostly put a side story, believe it or not. This trade collects the Infected tie-in stuff. We have King Shazam, Scarab, Deathbringer, the Commissioner, along with Hawkman Volume 5, Issue 18, and Supergirl Volume, I believe this is Volume 7, 36. Now, let's talk about King Shazam, because in the cover. Yeah, here's kind of the strange thing. The strange thing is, Shazam already had an ongoing series. Why in the world they couldn't have an issue of his series tied into the storyline? I do have a theory about that. My guess is because the book was also subject to delays because of Jeff Johns' busyness. And I'm sure DC really wanted this story to come out in time, so they just gave him a one-shot called King Shazam. Yep. The Scarab is a Blue Beetle one-shot. Yep. A Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, which this is actually the first time he's been active since his ongoing series ended back in I believe it was like 2018, I think it was. Yeah, it's quite surprising though they actually threw him in because since ongoing series ended, he's mostly been featured in cameos. Yeah, that was quite strange. Deathbringer is Donna Troy. Yep. And my guess is this is probably the first chronological appearance of the Titans since the end of their ongoing series. The Commissioner, Jim Gordon, obviously, and of course Hawkman and Stargirl. Yeah, the whole thing with this storyline is that we have various heroes, basically Captain Marvel, Donna Troy, the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, Jim Gordon, Hawkman, and Supergirl being infected with the very virus that churned basically they try to become something similar to the Batman Who Laughs. That's the simple point of this. And yeah, they are pretty much the Secret Six. No, it's not Gail Simone's Secrets. I actually forgot to mention these guys in my Hell Arisen when I reviewed that trade. Yeah, they did show up there and they all got cured. Yep. Believe it or not, guess who was the first person infected with the virus to turn all these people into what they are? Batman was the first one infected, though he got cured. This happened in the Batman Who Laughs mini-series, which was written by Scott Snyder and Jock, which loosely set up this particular mini-event and the very first arc for Batman Superman. I gotta say, not that bad, seeing all these people get infected, though they all get cured like not long after this. Supergirl's lasts for about a few issues. Though in the case of the two titles between Hawkman and Supergirl got her title canceled not long after this particular thing happened. Yeah, it was less than about 7 issues right after this, her title ended. Yeah, it just ended recently at issue 43. Hawkman is still publishing, believe it or not. Yeah. Fun little side event. Get the book roughly. Who actually writes these stories? I forgot to mention that. Okay, here are the writers for these books. Sonia Grace, the writer behind Iceman. Dennis Hopeless Hallam. Zoe Quinn, Paul Jenkins, Mark Andrego, who actually writes the Supergirl one, and Robin Diddy, who writes Hawkman. The artwork is done by Joe Bennett, Freddie Williams, he does the Blue Beetle one-shot, Brent Pepples, Jack Herbert, Eric Palisa, and Pat Opie. The cover art is done by Dave Marquez and Dane White. And of course, these two also were the original cover artists, along with Victor Bednavic, Tyler Kirkham, and Dan Maroya. Yeah, who does all the one-shots? The King Shazam one-shot is done by Sonia Grace, and Joe Bennett's in the artwork. Yep, this is Joe Bennett's artwork. Yeah, the same artist who does the Immortal Hulk. Yeah, that's who does this one-shot. Yeah. It's an interesting little one, basically, where King Shazam kind of turns against his own family because of this infected stuff. Now, if you know Freddie Williams' second artwork, you can tell this is his artwork. Yeah, I can tell just by looking at it, it's his artwork. Yep, and the artwork is done by Dennis Hopeless. Yep. Now, it's interesting, though, that we have a Jaime Reyes story, even though that he didn't have an ongoing series at this point. Yeah, that was kind of the strange thing. The reason for its cancellation is because the sales slipped. Yeah, because it got canceled at low sales. The Deathbringer one-shot, which features the Titans, this is the post-No Justice Titans, which is comprised of Miss Martian, Raven, Donna Troy, Natasha Irons, Steel, and Beast Boy. Yep. Who, yeah, this is probably during the actual, like, I'm surprised this one shot was actually not collected in the either of the two Titans trades, because yeah, this is during a period of time when Beast Boy's powers are going out of control. Yeah. I'm not really sure why. But it seems as though this is retaining the same artist as Titans. Yeah. Now, I have heard that the official reason why that Titans ended, and I can kind of believe the reason why the Titans series ended. The one done by Dan Abnett, he still was the writer of the book. Oh yeah, and the commercial one shot is done by Paul Jenkins. Art by Jack Herbert. Yeah, and the reason I propose a theory of why that the Titan series ended was because no one liked to change direction for the book, and yeah, that was the official reason why the sales dropped because of it. My guess is DC made a mistake, basically changed direction, so they just canceled the book down outright instead of continuing what they did before. Yeah. The Hawkman is just basically Hawkman becoming basically whatever he basically strips his helmet. Supergirl. Now, what do these new infected characters look like? This is simply Supergirl when she's infected. Puts on this weird 90s aesthetic. Yeah, that's Supergirl for you. And Hawkman looks like this. Yeah, that's the infected Hawkman. Yep. This book I give a 9.5 out of 10. It's a damn good side story. And don't worry, just explore in Hell Riz, which leads into the current crossover published right now, Dark Knight Death Metal. Yep. Alright, next up is New Avengers, Volume 3, Secrets and Lies. Written by Brian Michael Bendis. Day of Fame returns to the tier artwork for this time, unlike the last story arc where it was Steve McNiven. This book collects issues 11-15 of New Avengers plus the lead story from Giant Size Spider-Woman #1. Yep. The first 3 issues here are simply New Avengers going to Japan to bring in the Silver Samurai. Yep. And it turns out he was not an actual prisoner, believe it or not. Yeah. He was actually kidnapped and put in prison against his will. Yeah, and I thought it was so cool that Bendis had the Avengers fought the Hand. I thought that was so cool. Now Wolverine has had his own past with the frickin' Hand. Very recent past, thanks to Enemy of State storyline. But in the case of everybody else, I don't think that anybody else has ever fought before, but yeah, this probably gave also the loose inspiration why Luke Cage fought the Hand in the Defenders TV show. Yeah, this storyline was basically when he first fought them. Yeah, and despite the fact they could have brought back the Silver Samurai, but Silver Samurai's like, nah, I'm a citizen of Japan, and your government some of your government kidnapped me and put me in that prison. The story he tells is that he was asleep on his private plane, and then he woke up in the cell on the raft. He didn't even know he was in New York City until the breakout happened. Yeah. And Cap figures there was something going on with S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, that's Lucida for Secret Invasion. And there's also appearance here by Carol Danvers. Yep, Carol Danvers is here. The Miss Marvel Carol Danvers. Yeah, and this is for her Wrath Events of House, like always immediately after Events of House. Well, she does remember Events of House of them. Now, in case you're wondering, is there an aftermath storyline for this book for House of? Oh yes, it's the very next one, The Collective. Yep. And yeah, great book. There's also basically stuff with Spider-Woman here, which I thought was quite nice minutes to this here. Yeah, this overall is a great book. Like, and we also have addition of a new member. This is Ronin, also known as Echo. This is Maria Lopez, a woman who at one point had sex with Daredevil, and she was offered his place in the Avengers. which that's not a bad idea because after all, Bendis did create this character. And fun little factoid, I actually got my hands on issue 11, and yeah, and there was a pull-out poster for issue 11. It was also appearance in this issue by Madam Hydra, aka Viper. Yeah, she supposedly is taken, and then somehow it's explained somehow she got escaped from the Quinjet. Oh yeah, and the thing is, well, Ronan knew how to fly the damn thing, even though that only Tony Stark knew how to fly it. And she's like, how did you know how to fly the thing? And she's like, I watched Tony. Yep, that was some just of it. Oh, and here's something interesting though about Maria Lopez. She's deaf. Yep, a deaf woman. Interesting to say the least. Yeah. But this overall is a great storyline, and I can't wait to get my hands on the collective storyline, which I did purchase today. So I'll get my hands on that soon. Give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, the Silver Samurai was so interesting. I love the Silver Samurai stuff. And despite the fact they held the whole prison of 42, the whole thing of 42 prisoners, here's the strange thing when it comes to that. That plot point, just like, if you're wondering, like, you know, everyone watched Earth's Mightiest Heroes and have had this massive breakout of villains. Here's kind of the strange thing. That storyline was never resolved. Why? Crossovers. Yep, crossovers got in the way. So in effect, they just took off maybe 3 people off the list. Like in the span of 15 issues of the people who escaped from the raft. They took care of these people. They, of course, captured them, or in the case of one person, they let them basically be released legally. Electro. Shuron. Of course, Silver Samurai. And they did almost capture Viper, but she escaped. Yeah, so basically very few people. And it's strange, though, and here's also something they revealed this in the first story arc, that apparently some people who were considered some escapees were actually people who somehow, some people in the U.S. government legally declared these people dead. Yeah, Bendis was basically building up Secret Invasion. Yeah, he built it up over the course of 3 years. And this is more planting seeds of that. Yeah. And that's fantastic. In fact, he builds up that. I've reviewed Secret Invasion already, which I think is a really good event. And I love reading and, of course, talking about the stuff that built up that event. Yeah. Though the collective story arc is simply put just New Avengers Aftermath storyline for House of M. Yeah, and I love the conversation bit between... Now here, in case you're wondering, how does David Finch draw Carol Danvers? Yeah. Well, here's one for you. Well, here's issue 11. I actually had this poster, believe it, at one point. Yeah, I think I lost it. Yeah. Now, in case you're curious, though, like, what does the Silver Samurai look like under the artwork of David Finch? This is how the Silver Samurai is drawn by David Finch, which this looks fantastic. Love the fact David Finch did this. Yeah, it's very well drawn, and this reveal on this 2-page spread is well handled. It's, even though, yes, the whole thing of 2-page spreads is basically something, at least you're not turning the book on the frickin' side. Yeah, that was a popular thing in the 90s. Yeah. But the whole thing with the Ronin stuff, that only lasted for, it's the quick little 3-parter. The last couple issues, it just focused on Jessica Drew. But also, it's the public debut of the New Avengers. Oddly enough, Century was not part of the storyline. Yeah. And they wanted to bring the Avengers to public knowledge. To the public face. Yeah. So, of course, this issue also revealed how Jessica Drew got back her powers. She got through like special surgery done by Nick Fury, and that's how she got her powers back. Yeah, and they had the public unveil in the issue 15 of this book where they show off the new Avengers. Yeah, and Jameson writing a complete bullcrap story. Like, he criticizes basically who's part of the team. Despite the fact he was basically made a deal that he wouldn't publish anything negative, he lied. Oh yeah, and what does he say about them? Okay, this is what he says. And Tony Stark is rightfully upset. A wanted murderer, an alleged ex-member of a global terrorist organization, and a convicted heroin dealer. Okay, yeah, I get the fact Bendis brought the fact that, well, now, according to Luke Cage, it's like, heroin, falsely accused. That part is true. Yeah, Jessica Drew, former terrorist, yeah. Wanted murderer, probably Wolverine, but, yeah. Tony Stark is rightfully upset, despite the fact that of course, Cap told him, don't publish anything negative about us. Yeah. The article itself is complete bullcrap, but yeah, Bendis was simply having Jameson be in character, because he's known for doing this, because Jameson has had this thing for years where he doesn't like superheroes, but he has no problem with Captain America. He's the only superhero he's never had a problem with. Everybody else, he hates. He hates all masks. Any superhero who wears a mask, or at least anybody who is wearing a costume, he despises superheroes. Captain America is the only one he takes exception to because he actually fought in an actual war. Because he's a war hero, and he knows not to chastise him. Yeah, so Bendis writing Jameson like this is completely understandable. Because also he writes him in Ultimate Spider-Man. Yep. Really good book. This book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Yep. And that's simply it for this particular review. Yeah, not much else to say with 2 trades, but next one is basically kind of reverse. Still 2 Marvel DC trades, but this time it's a Marvel trade first, and the other one is a DC trade. One I haven't reviewed in quite some time, believe it or not. Well, of this volume anyways, okay? But see you next video. Bye.